We're going to upgrade the way you think about debt. And by the end of this video, you will be more confident and have more clarity when dealing with debt. There are 4 specific debts that you need to know how to handle, one of which will cripple you if mishandled. At this moment, you might not even think about debt. This first section is for you.
That's not something that I'm worrying about right now, debt. I guess I say I don't really have a mentality on debt.
You might not be thinking about debt because it's simply never come up for you. You're still a kid, or maybe you're rich, but it will. For those of you who have never thought about debt, you need to know this. Debt is marketed as a beautiful solution to financial obstacles. You will be offered debt at some point in your life. Its appeal is real. It allows you to get something now and force the future you to pay for it. You receive the reward before you earn it. This is how people end up being buried by debt. This is why Debtors Anonymous is a thing. Debt is a trap, and it's an easy one to fall into. You have to think about it, and you have to be prepared for when it's offered to you. Being prepared looks different depending on the type of debt. Let's start with one that could drive you crazy.
I recently got a car, which is my first time being an extensive debt, and it doesn't feel really good. It's great to have a vehicle that's reliant and I can drive my kids places, but it doesn't feel good to have to be in debt to just be able to get a vehicle,
Cars feel like a necessity for modern life. How are we going to get to work, to the grocery store, to see our friends and family? Cars make our lives more enjoyable. The problem is how we pay for them. Future you has to deal with it. When you take out a loan for a car, you are going to pay interest over time for something that is losing value every time you drive it. Interest is wasted money. If you take out a loan for the car, no matter the interest rate, you are objectively paying more than what it's worth. The mentality you should carry when considering buying a car is, how do I lower my overall cost? How do you make it easier on future you? If you're in a situation where you need a car today, maybe you have a date, or Meemaw needs a ride to the doctor, but you don't have the cash for it, there are ways to mitigate the debt trap. Buying used is cheaper, and someone else has already taken the gut punch of the rapid depreciation. And let's be real, old cars are cooler than new cars anyway. Plus, you can work on them. Another debt mitigation tactic is to shop your interest rate. Look at credit unions or your local bank. You may find better interest rates going with local institutions. Who wants to work with a big bank anyway? Finally, settle. Do not buy your dream car if you don't have the cash to do it. A vehicle is supposed to get you from point A to point B. Who cares if it gives you a massage or has a heated steering wheel? With these lower costs, you can take the difference and begin saving for your next car. Ideally, a car would be a financial goal that you have been planning for years. You would have been setting aside money every month so you can pay for a car with cash. So if you're in the process of paying off a car right now, here's what you can do. After you finish paying off the car, keep making payments. Pay yourself a car payment every month so that you have the cash available when you buy your next car. This is how you should think about vehicle debt so it doesn't drive you crazy. But this next debt, you need to be educated on.
I know there's a lot of people in the world in debt. I have to take student loans, debt, stuff like that. So, I know it's going to play into my future, but just got to act on it later. I guess just got to not fall behind on your payments, and debt's just not a good thing. You never want to have debt,
When thinking about student loans, I want this one term to ring in your ear: return on investment. You may not have thought about it in this way, but going to college is an investment in yourself. You're taking years of your life, tens of thousands of dollars, potentially the health of your liver, and spending it in pursuit of abilities, knowledge, wisdom, and expertise. But to what end? What are you hoping this will lead to? Generally, the hope is that this investment will lead to a career, and that career will lead to fat stacks of cash. There are countless degree opportunities, but they are not all equal. Some degrees carry with them the weight of higher expected earnings, like doctors or engineers, while others seem to lack earnings potential. This means you can earn more with some than you can with others. Are there even jobs for underwater basket weaving? If you're going to take on massive amounts of debt, You should have the expectation of earnings that will not just eliminate that debt, but let you live a free and fulfilled life. Here's how you need to think about student debt. Will this degree give me an earnings potential that justifies the debt? Research the degrees, research the job market, look into the future and make sure your degree is going to give you a justifiable return on your investment. But keep in mind that your student loans likely won't be the only debt your career will need to support. We want you to have a firm foundation when it comes to this next debt. At some point in your life, you're likely going to want to buy a home. Just like with student loans, home loans have to make sense. To be honest, buying a home isn't always the right move. Maybe you're a nomad and you move around every couple of years, or the responsibilities of home ownership just don't appeal to you. Who wants to go up in the attic in July to find out why their AC isn't working? Buying a home is an investment. It's an investment for you. It's a source of stability, and that stability gives you peace of mind. When you buy a home, you're deciding where to plant your roots. And if you have a family, their roots as well. Where you live has a direct impact on the opportunities you have, the people you surround yourself with, and how you live your life. The mentality you need to have with a home loan is that it needs to make sense to you. Buying a home makes sense when it's affordable. Lenders recommend spending no more than 28% of your gross monthly pay on your mortgage, but I believe it should be no more than 25%, and the lower, the better. Buying a home makes sense when it's in or close to your preferred area. Buying a home makes sense when it's the right size for your needs. A home is a major debt, but it's not the most dangerous. There is one debt in particular that if you're not careful with it, it can cripple you.
On debt, I prefer not to be in it, so I try to do everything I can to spend what I have, and not like overspend or consume credit card debt and those sort of things, like spend within my means, but yeah.
If you can afford to pay it off, right, that's like a very big thing. I think borrowing money at like a crazy high interest rate, that's like a financial spiral that most Americans cannot recover from. You know, if you're gonna borrow money, you're gonna have to pay it off in a timely manner, right? Because if you don't, it's gonna multiply and multiply and multiply, and that's how these big credit companies, that's how they make their money, right? And that's how they keep the bottom, 20%, 30% at their level. That's how they keep them at the bottom. You have to be able to pay off your debt on time in a timely manner.
Credit cards are the most dangerous debt of all. They make it easy for you to buy things you don't need with money you don't have at an interest rate that you have no business paying. There are two parts to credit cards that make them dangerous: how credit cards work and our mentality with them. Credit cards have two real pitfalls in how they work: the interest rate and minimum payments. The interest rates on credit cards are typically extremely high, which, as we discussed earlier, means you're paying more than you need to and wasting money. Minimum payments are designed in a way that if you only ever pay the minimum, you'll never pay the balance off. The combination of these two things makes it easier to accrue more debt than it is to pay off your balance. Our mentality with credit cards is too casual. It's too naive. Available credit gives us a false sense of security, but we don't see the danger right around the corner. We are all too willing to throw things we don't need on a credit card just because we want it now. Think about that watch or necklace you wear once a year. Why did you pay 20% interest on it? Because you wanted it now. The mentality you should have with credit cards is this: I don't need it. Whatever you're buying with a credit card, you don't need it. You should never buy something you want with a credit card unless you have the cash set aside for it already. And if you're using a credit card, you need to pay it off every month. Or, as our interviewee said, avoid it and live below your means. This mentality will prevent you from falling into the credit card debt trap. Finally, thinking about debt as a whole, there is one mentality I think works.
I feel like you can avoid it if you make the right decisions.
My goal is to be financially free, so just try to avoid debt at all costs.
When you have debt, you're always just playing from behind, and that's just like, that sucks. It's like you're making money, but you're really not making money. You're just paying off what you owe.
Debt may be a necessary part of your life, but if you make the right decisions and you have the right mentality, it won't become a trap. With debt, you are always playing from behind, and the money you earn has already been spent. If your goal is true financial freedom, then you need to be debt-free. Some people honestly just don't know how debt impacts their lives. Next week's video will make sure you know how these different debts will impact you so you can make the right decisions when it comes to debt.